I remember when I first started doing content creation, I really wanted to delve into the mindset of someone who was already at the point of making it their full-time income. And unfortunately at that stage, I didn't really know too many people who were in that position, and I didn't really know a lot of the ins and outs of content creation as a business. But today there's a lot more people out there who are able to share their stories on this side of things, and there's a lot more information that you can consume on the topic. So I thought in today's video that I would talk a little bit about my perspective on this and some of the things that they don't really tell you about being a content creator that you tend to find out as you go along or once you've gotten to the point of it being a full-time career. In fact, some of these things you might even realize before you get to that point of it being a full-time career, but it's definitely some of the things that I guess I wish I had known earlier on. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. However, I started this channel a few years ago to talk about all things content creation, freelancing, business, and social media. So as I mentioned, we'll be delving into some of the things that they don't tell you about being a content creator and some of the things that I think are really important to know before you even really get started with it. So the first point that we're going to cover today is going to be inconsistency of income. Now I say inconsistency of income because I find for most content creators, in a sense, there is more inconsistency than there is consistency of income. You'll find that often income comes like waves, and it really can depend on seasonal timeframes as well, especially with platforms like YouTube and getting AdSense. You'll find that different amounts of money will come in at different points in the year. Now, this inconsistency of income, I think, is one of the main barriers to a lot of people doing content creation and just quitting their job and doing it full time, because it's a really tricky thing to get around, especially if it's not something that you're used to. Now, for me being a freelancer, I was already used to a bit of inconsistent income with being a freelance photographer. It was pretty normal and natural to me. But for a lot of people out there, it's a lot more difficult to really get your head around how inconsistent it can be at times, and also what to do in those situations when you find that you're not getting enough money in. Now, a lot of content creators out there will tell you to have different streams of income, and this is a really, really good piece of advice and something I would highly recommend to anyone who is looking at doing this full time, because it's really giving you ways to diversify your income. So if one of those platforms, for example, goes down, then at least you've got others to rely on for income. It's really quite dangerous to only focus on one or two streams, because at any point they can go down, and if you only have those one or two streams of income, it can be really problematic, especially if you've got a lot of bills to pay like I do with a mortgage and all the rest of that. It can be really scary some months to have extremely inconsistent income, and especially if you don't have many streams. So although a lot of content creators will talk about different streams of income, I don't think sometimes they emphasize enough the inconsistency of income at times, and especially for mid-sized creators like myself. I wouldn't exactly call myself a big creator. Even with my other YouTube channel, I have around 100,000 subscribers, and I've been doing this full time for a number of years now. But I will say that it's still at the point where I have to be very mindful of where my income is coming in from and where it goes. So I do think a lot of content creators have this issue, and it's just something that you really need to, I guess, adapt to after a while and really find ways to make your income work for you. There's also so many other things I could talk about with income, and especially when it comes to applying for a house, like a home loan, and all the other things that come along with essentially being self-employed in that respect and doing your taxes. But unfortunately, I'm not really a financial advisor, so I can't really speak too much on that front. But I will say that there's a lot of difficulties and hurdles that you need to come across when you are a full-time content creator that a lot of people won't mention in the beginning. The next point that I really want to cover is it's not all about motivation, it's about discipline. Let me tell you, I can be one of the least motivated people in the world at times. I think that's due to just how my brain works and my own personality type and just how I am. And it doesn't matter how many times I try to be motivated in a single moment, or I try to do as many things as I can to stay motivated, it just doesn't work for me. And I think for a lot of people, it doesn't work that way. So really one term that I like to use instead of being motivated is actually getting disciplined. Discipline is really that thing that's going to make you do things during the day, even if you really don't want to and you're feeling very unmotivated. It's the discipline that really keeps you going. It's the routine. So I find that starting really good routines early on that work for you and work for your lifestyle are a really great way to start seeing a bit more success with your content creation, because as soon as you start to burn out or you're feeling really unmotivated but you're also not getting anything done, that's usually a really crappy time for content creators, because we need to have that creative aspect and we need to feel inspired, but at the same time, we also need that extra level of discipline to really get us going, because there's no one else that's telling us what to do. We don't really have a boss. We don't have someone who's keeping us accountable. We have to keep ourselves accountable. So in that respect, it is a lot of discipline that is involved in creating these routines that will really help the content creation continue and succeed. So you really shouldn't feel bad if you do feel unmotivated from time to time, because that is completely normal, and it's all about just really gaining that experience to start building a routine that works for you. Another thing that really isn't mentioned that often when content creators are just starting out is the variety of skills you'll actually need to learn to be a content creator. Now, I know we often focus on filming for beginners and editing for beginners and all the rest of that, and I think that that's great. That's exactly how a lot of people will need to start. But there's a lot of developing that comes along with those skill sets over time, and you really have to put yourself out there to learn a lot of these skills. So whether that be for photography on social media and editing photos, or whether that's videography and then editing videos, and then not only that, you really need to have a good mindset around the skills of marketing. Marketing is actually a really big one, because you also need to know how to put yourself out there and how to market yourself and your own brand. So that's, again, something that I don't think a lot of people will tell you when you're first starting out. It's kind of all about just getting onto filming with your phone and getting the basics ready, and that's absolutely what you do need to know. But you also need to realize the kind of development that comes along with all of these skills in the process, and it's really not just kind of learning initially how to take some video or how to take some photos and post. It's really a never-ending process of learning more about those crafts and just continuing to learn as you go along. And then the last point is about maintaining engagement and interest. And this is across any social media accounts or content creation accounts that you have. Maintaining the engagement and interest, once you've had some peaks or once you've started to really find a bit more traction with your accounts, is actually a really difficult task to do. And I think a lot of people really focus on how to get those subscribers or how to get that engagement or that flow initially, so you start to get a lot more traction. But I think the important thing to remember is once you're finally at that point and you've gotten a lot of those subscribers, you've gotten a lot of that growth, you have to maintain it. And that's another difficult thing, always trying to maintain interest in what your audience wants to see and what you want to create as well. This is something that I've actually struggled with a lot over on my other photography channel as the years have gone by. As I've had some peaks and ups and downs, it's been very difficult to maintain the engagement and to always get people interested in what you're doing. And then I think as your audience changes as well, you have to adapt with them. And it can be a really, really tricky process, but I do think it's something to be aware of from the beginning, so you can kind of prepare yourself for those instances where that may need to happen. So let me know down in the comment section below, as a content creator, do you feel that there's anything that wasn't said to you initially that you really wish you had have known? Or if there's any big secrets that you feel are not often talked about to younger content creators, definitely feel free to put them in the comment section below, because I think it's really interesting and important to talk about some of these things when people are in the beginning stages of content creation, so they can really prepare themselves later on down the track. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this one in future. But thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.